Welcome to my YouTube channel, Audio Leech. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Let's start the lesson. Start with a rewind. Let's take a moment and travel back 5 years in your life. Think carefully. Where were you? What were you doing? What phase of life were you going through? Now think even deeper. During those past 5 years, what was that one significant decision you made? Maybe it was choosing to embrace someone or walk away from them. Maybe it was switching your field of study, picking up a new habit, or dropping an old one. Or perhaps it was something as simple as saying yes or no to something. Whatever those decisions were, they are the reason you are standing exactly where you are today. Now, ask yourself, why did you make those choices back then? Was it out of fear? Was it because someone pressured you? Was it because of your circumstances? Or simply because everyone around you was doing the same thing? The reason may vary, but one thing is certain. Your life today is the direct result of the decisions you made yesterday. Some people may be happy with those choices, but the big questions. So now, coming to the present, how do we know which decision is right for us? Why do we mostly end up making wrong choices? And why, even when we know what needs to be done, do we fail to decide at all? All of these questions will be answered here, along with 5 powerful strategies to help you make better, smarter decisions. Dhoni's story. One decision that changed everything. MS Dhoni, one of India's greatest cricket captains, famously known as Captain Cool, might never have played on a cricket field if not for one bold decision. Dhoni was working as a railway ticket collector in Ranchi. His daily routine was chasing trains, checking tickets, nothing more. But his dream was always cricket. One day, while still employed at that secure government job, he made an incredibly difficult decision. He quit the job, boarded a train home, and committed himself entirely to cricket. There were no guarantees, no safety net. But that single decision became the turning point of his life. What was the thinking behind that decision? And what is your train that you need to board? To understand that, we need to explore. We make 35,000 decisions every day. Research shows that an average person makes around 35,000 decisions every single day. That sounds unbelievable, but it includes everything from whether to hit snooze on your alarm to whether to study at night or watch a movie. Most of these decisions happen automatically, without any real thought. And when you look at the big picture, your entire life is simply the sum of all your choices. Where you are, who you are, how you are, it all comes down to the choices you've made. Ask yourself honestly, are you the person you always wanted to become? If the answer is no, then somewhere along the way, the decisions you made pulled you away from that version of yourself. The butterfly effect in real life. Even a small decision can cause a massive shift in your future. This is the concept of the butterfly effect. The idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in America could, through a chain of events, cause a storm in India. It sounds strange, but it's real, and it applies to your life too. A simple yes or no at the right moment can completely redirect the course of your life. That's why making decisions isn't just about picking an option. It's about taking the steering wheel of your own life into your hands. There are only 2 paths. Either you make a decision or you avoid making one. But here's the truth. Not deciding is itself a decision. Choosing to delay or ignore a choice is still a choice,
and it has consequences just like any other.
Why do we struggle to decide? Decision paralysis. In the year 2000, Columbia University professor Sheena Iyengar conducted a fascinating experiment at a supermarket. She set up two tables, one with 6 varieties of jam and another with 24 varieties of jam. Logically, you'd expect more options to attract more buyers, but the results were the opposite. 30% of people who stopped at the table with 6 jams actually bought one. Only 3% of people who stopped at the table with 24 jams made a purchase. More options attracted more attention, but led to far fewer decisions. This is decision paralysis, also called analysis paralysis. When our brain is flooded with too many options and too much information, it temporarily freezes and struggles to choose anything at all. Today, people aren't struggling because they have too few choices. They're overwhelmed because they have too many, and they can't figure out where to begin. Think about it. You open YouTube wanting to watch a motivational video, spend 30 minutes scrolling through thousands of results, feel mentally exhausted, and end up going to sleep without watching anything. You came to learn something and left more confused than before. Highly successful people understand this well. That's why many of them wear the same kind of clothes every day. They've eliminated small, unnecessary decisions from their lives, saving their mental energy for the big, important ones. They keep their options limited on purpose. Why we make wrong decisions. Here's a hard truth. We think we decide with logic, but in reality, most of our decisions are driven by emotion. A large portion of what we decide comes not from our conscious mind, but from our subconscious mind. Stanford neuroscientist Dr. David Eagleman describes the conscious mind as a CEO who takes credit for decisions that were actually made by workers in the basement, the subconscious. Our brain operates in 2 modes: the logical brain, prefrontal cortex, and the emotional brain, limbic system. Ideally, both should work together, but in most cases, the emotional brain fires first, and the logical brain simply looks for reasons to justify whatever the emotional brain already decided. Harvard professor Gerald Zoltman confirms this. 95% of our decisions are made by the subconscious mind. What feels like careful, thoughtful reasoning is often just your beliefs, emotions, habits, and past experiences driving the choice, and then your conscious mind inventing logical explanations afterward. This is called confirmation bias, where we unconsciously seek out information that confirms what we already believe, while ignoring anything that contradicts it. For example, if you've convinced yourself that you're not good at something, every failure confirms that belief, and every small success gets dismissed or overlooked. Your own mind is working against you, constantly reinforcing that limiting story. This is why we get stuck. We avoid decisions that might challenge our existing beliefs, or we make poor decisions because we've already made up our minds and are just searching for evidence to back them up. Can we break free from this? Yes, but it requires self-awareness first. Unless you understand where your fears come from, why you keep comparing yourself to others, and why you repeat the same unhealthy patterns, you'll never be able to make truly good decisions in the outside world. You need to understand who you are, what situation you're in, and why you're making a choice in the first place. This is what it means to be self-aware. The Bhagavad Gita principle of decision-making. Before diving into strategies, understand one foundational truth. Making a decision is itself an action. And as Lord Krishna told Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, do your karma. Don't worry about the results. Your job is simply to make the decision. What happens afterward is determined by time and circumstances. This doesn't mean deciding blindly. It means trusting the decision you've made with clarity and conviction, without being paralyzed by fear of outcomes. 5 powerful strategies for better decision making. 1. The reverse visualization technique. Instead of thinking, if I do this, what will happen? Flip it around. Start from your desired future and work backwards. Imagine where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. Then trace back, step by step, the decisions that led you there. For example, imagine you're a UPSC aspirant. Picture yourself as an IAS officer 5 years from now. Now work backwards. What did you need to do 1 year before that? What did you need to decide today? Now return to the present. Are the decisions you're making today actually aligned with that future? This technique pulls you out of present emotions and distractions and directs your focus toward long-term goals. When you start from the end goal, your mind automatically filters out choices that lead you away from it. Your fear and confusion reduce because you shift from chasing a perfect decision to making a purposeful one. 2. The outsider's lens strategy. When we make decisions for ourselves, we get tangled in our own emotions, biases, and fears. So imagine you're giving advice to someone else in your exact situation. Picture your best friend or your younger brother or sister facing the same problem. What would you tell them? Say you're in a toxic relationship and you keep thinking, maybe it'll get better with time. But if your best friend were in that same situation, wouldn't you tell them clearly, this relationship is draining you mentally. Walk away. So why not give yourself that same honest advice? We tend to be objective and logical when advising others, but emotionally biased when it comes to ourselves. This strategy breaks through your confirmation bias and helps you see things clearly, separating what's genuinely right from what's just your fear or ego talking. 3. The good enough over perfect strategy. Most people delay decisions endlessly while chasing the perfect option. But this strategy teaches you to replace the search for perfection with a good enough decision that gets you into action. Remember this. Perfectionism is a trap. Waiting for perfect conditions doesn't create them. You have to build them. Suppose you want to start a YouTube channel. You think, I need the perfect camera, perfect editing software, a perfect script, and a perfect speaking style. The result? You keep waiting forever for things that will never be perfectly in place. Instead, the good enough approach says, if you have a 70% chance of success with what you currently have, start. Record with your phone. Do basic editing. Upload it. Your first video won't be perfect, but your 10th video will be far better than the perfect first video you never made. Perfectionism is just another face of fear. The fear of failure, the fear of being judged. But the truth is, no decision in life is final. Every decision can be refined and improved as you go. Progress is always greater than perfection. 4. The one reason rule. When there are too many options and too many reasons attached to each, confusion takes over. The one reason rule. Pick a single, solid reason for your decision. Set aside all the others. Say you're trying to choose between science, commerce, and arts after high school. Science could become an engineer or doctor, but the studies are tough. Commerce could become a CA, but you're not interested in accounts. Arts, good for government jobs, but what will people think? Now apply the one reason rule. Choose the one reason that truly resonates with you, not what others think, not social pressure. I'll take arts because I genuinely enjoy history and social science, and it will also help me prepare for UPSE. Just move forward with that one reason. Ignore the social judgment, the doubts about the future, the noise from outside. Multiple reasons create confusion. One reason creates focus and simplifies the decision. This is especially powerful for major life decisions around career, business, and relationships. The pre-mortem trick. This is a technique where you imagine your decision has already failed, and then ask, why did it fail? This helps you identify the weaknesses in your plan before you even begin, so you can fix them in advance. For example, suppose you want to start an online marketing or editing agency. You're scared it might not work, so do a pre-mortem. Imagine you launched the business. 6 months later, it failed. Why? Maybe you didn't know enough about the market. Maybe you didn't offer services others were already providing. Maybe your team wasn't right. Maybe your skills needed improvement. Write all those reasons down. Then start fixing them right now. Build a portfolio, study the market, improve your skills, create a proper plan. Most people make decisions with blind optimism and ignore the risks. The pre-mortem forces you to be realistic and prepared. It helps you anticipate the worst-case scenario, removes overconfidence, and gives you the confidence to move forward with a solid plan. Final thought. Every person has the power to write their own life story. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us of what was written yesterday and what could be written today. These 5 strategies are not just theoretical. They're psychologically and practically proven tools that will bring clarity, reduce fear, and guide you toward the life you've always wanted. But ultimately, it all comes back to you. After reading this, will you go back to the same comfort zone? Or will you finally take that decision you've been putting off for far too long? Remember, your next decision could change the entire direction of your life. And every great transformation begins with just one small choice.